Right, so we are discussing what dollar expand query option. Okay, so let us implement the code for this. So yesterday we have understood that related to dollar expand query option, we will have two methods. One is get underscore expanded underscore entity set. Another is get underscore expanded underscore entity. Okay, so let us open our project which we created yesterday. This is a project z flights underscore project. What is the purpose of this dollar expand query option? It is used for reading the data from what multiple entities in a single call. Okay, it is used for reading the data from multiple entities in a single call. So stay in the data provider extension class, we provided some dummy implementation for the method get underscore expanded underscore what entity set. So let me open that. Yeah, this is a method. One second please. Yeah, this is a method get underscore expanded underscore entity set. Get underscore expanded entity set. We provided some dummy implementation. We have redefined it with some write statement, and we have given the breakpoint. It is executing that particular method whenever we use dollar $expand query option in the URL. So now, what is the logic we need to write for this method? In this method, we have to write the logic to get the data from what both the entities. One is flight entity, another is what flight schedule entity. Okay. One is flight entity, another is what flight schedule entity. So let us write the data for that. One second. Yeah, there is one exporting parameter here. Okay, there is an exporting parameter er underscore what entity set. Okay, so let me implement the business logic for this. So what is the agenda here? We have to get the data from both the entities and return that particular data. So our what focus should be on what how to return that particular data which is retrieved from what the tables related to what both the entities. So first what I'll do is let me declare some internal tables and work area based on those two entities. Yesterday we have created one entity flight, importing from the DDIC structure SCAR, another entity flight schedule, importing it from the DDIC structure SP fly. So the corresponding dependent tables are what SCAR and what SP fly. SCAR will store the airline IDs and SP fly will store the flight schedules of what each and every airline. Okay. So each airline ID of SCAR table might contain 0 or 1 or multiple entries is what SP fly table. So now let me get the data. So here I'll say one second please. Yeah, get the data from database tables related to what both entities. So I'll declare one internal table data lt underscore flight type table of scar, and I may require work area somewhere. So I'll say w underscore flight like line of lt underscore flight. Done. Then I'll declare another thing data lt underscore schedule type table of sp fly. Why I am referring to the whole dictionary structure is anyway we have created the entity importing the DDIC structure. Okay, so w underscore schedule type not type like or I can say type sp fly or like line of lt underscore schedule. So I declare the corresponding internal table and what work areas. Done. Okay, so let me get the data now. Okay, so when I should get the data, when I query, when I query in the URL, I have to give what the principal entity. What is the principal entity? Flight. What is the corresponding entity set? Flight set. Flight set. Okay, so what I have to do is, yeah, let me declare one what how to get the entity set name, which are one second. Can I use this parameter? Importing parameter iv underscore entity set name. Let me try. So here I'll say case. What is the importing parameter here? Iv underscore entity underscore set underscore name. So I'll say case iv underscore entity underscore set underscore name. Then here I'll say when. What is the entity of the principal entity? Flight. The corresponding entity set will be flight set. So I'll say flight set when flight set. Okay. So what I have to do here? I have to get the data. Okay. I have to get the data from what? Both the tables. So I'll say I want all the fields. Select star from scar into corresponding fields of table. What is that? LT underscore flight. Why I should say corresponding fields? Anyhow, I declared this is type table of. So I'll say into table. Into table. Okay, into table. What is that? LT underscore flight. Done. Then here I'll get the data. Select star from SP fly. I'm getting the entire data. SP fly into table. What is the other internal table? LT underscore what? Schedule. End for case is what? End case. Okay, so I'm just having a doubt here. Let me just debug it once. So I'll put the breakpoint here. I'm putting the breakpoint. Done. Check it. Activate this. Go back. Regenerate the runtime artifacts. Let me maintain. The principal, always the navigation should be from what? Source entity, that is principal entity set, that is flight set. Done. How to give the URL? How to use the query option $expand is equal to two flight schedules. This two flight schedules is the navigation property. So execute this. Two flight schedules. Is it going there? Good, it is going there. Now my analysis is this parameter is carrying the entity set name? Let me check. Yes, good. Okay, it is carrying that. Done. So I declare two internal tables, LT flight and LT schedule. When flight set done, how many entries I got? 22 entries. Here I got 20. Good. Okay, so I got the data into what? I got the data into the corresponding internal tables. Fine. Okay, so as of now, I didn't got any data in the response because we are not returning. We are only retrieving and putting in the internal table. Now I need to return it. So how to return it is, we have to return it in the one call so that it carries the data of what? Both the tables. So now let me go back to that method. Yeah, here let me write further logic. The logic I'll write is I require what? One internal table which carries the data of what both the source and what target entity. So what I'll do here is somewhere here, let me declare that. Somewhere here I'll declare it. Uh, internal table for holding data of what both entities. So here what I did, here I declared two separate internal tables. One is for SCAR table, another is for SP flight. Now I am trying to declare one final internal table which should carry the data of what both the entities. So I'll say data begin of, okay, you can give any name. Let me give it as ty underscore expand. Done. Now I require the structure of that source entity. What is the source entity? What flight? Okay, so where I can refer, as of now we are in what data provider extension class. Okay, so related to your entity, SAP will provide some corresponding declarations inside a class called as model provider extension class. So I want to refer to that particular declaration, just like those who know WebDim Pro. In WebDim Pro also, depending on the node I create, depending on the attributes I create, automatically some declarations will be provided by what SAP. Similarly, here also based on the entities we create in the project, SAP will provide some declarations, some internal tables, some work areas, okay, and those declarations will be available in the model provider extension class. So let me navigate to model provider. What is the data provider extension class name? ZCL underscore Z flights underscore project underscore DPC underscore extension. Okay, let me go to model provider extension class. Yeah, this is the model product extension class. Inside this model product extension class, okay, no types also nothing. Yeah, good. So in the types you can see, in the type section they gave one one work area. They gave one work area related to what a source entity, and they gave one internal table related to what they gave work area and internal table for both the entities. Okay, but now for source entity I need to take what work area. Okay, and for target entry I need to take what internal table, because the cardinality I get is what 1 is to n. Each airline id of the source will contain might contain what multiple entries. So I need to refer to these two declarations, ts underscore flight and tt underscore flight schedule, which is available inside this particular class. Okay, so here, one second please. Just copy this, go back to your data product extension class. Yeah, here I'll say include type implies how to access. Whenever we access types declarations by using the class name, we have to use implies operator. So what is the type declaration? We have ts underscore what flight. Done. Next I require one internal table also for the other entity. So I'll give the name as something to flight schedule something. Two flight schedules. Okay, type the model product extension class implies tt underscore. Here I am referring to what internal data, tt underscore what flight schedule. Actually comma here. Then let me close this. End of ty underscore expand. So let me check it. Yeah, I provided one structure here. This structure is having the fields of this work area, and it is referring to one internal table. So I can call this field as what? I can call this field as what? Internal table. Why? Because it is referring to what? TT underscore flight schedule, which itself is the internal table. Now based on this, let me declare the internal table. So data, I'll say lt underscore expand type table of what is that, ty underscore expand. Then I require a work area. I'll say something ls underscore expand type ty underscore expand. Done. And this field itself is the internal table, so I require a work area for appending the data to this internal table field. So let me declare one work area also. I'll give it as ls underscore schedule type. This is my model product extension class. Okay, from that class only I'll refer to the work area. What is that work area? This internal level is tt underscore flight schedule. So obviously the work area will be ts underscore what, flight schedule. Done. Done. Let me save it. Done. Okay, so this part is simple. I'm getting the data from the corresponding database tables, putting in my internal table. But this data, these two internal table data, I need to map it to my final internal table and return that particular final internal table. That final internal table should carry the data of what? Both the entities. That's what I am doing here. Okay, I'm declaring one field, I'm including one structure referring to the source. This is a structure. Okay, and this is an internal table field because the source cardinality is 1, the target cardinality is what, n. It might have multiple entries. Done. Now what I'll do somewhere here. Okay, so I got the data into this. So here I'll say, one second please. Yeah, here I'll say if size of RC is equal to what, 0. If size of RC is equal to 0, what I have to do, what is my source internal table, what is the relationship? Each airline ID of this internal table might contain multiple flight schedules in this internal table. Now I am referring to my internal tables. Already the database table, we got the data. If size of RC equal to 0, let me loop it. Loop at lt underscore flight into what is the work area declared, w underscore flight. Done. And here I'll say end loop. Here I'll say end if. Now what I'll do here I'll say any of the fields names are same. So each record will come to work area. This fields I need to map it to what, this particular what structure. Okay, which is holding the fields of my source entity. So I'll say here what, move corresponding, what is that, w underscore flight to okay. First of all I need to, this is the internal table I declared. This is the internal table and this is the work area. So first, to add the data to the internal table, first of all you have to add it at the work area level. So what is the work area name? ls underscore expand. So move corresponding w underscore flight to ls underscore expand. So I copied the data to what, my source entity. Now this is having the data of what, all the, it is having the flight schedules of all the airline IDs, but I need to map the flight schedules of what, specific airline IDs only for each row. So here I loop my what, second internal table, loop at what is that, second lt underscore schedule, lt underscore schedule into what, w underscore, what is the work area, w underscore schedule. I should not loop unnecessarily all the records. What is the common field here, char id, where char id is equal to, already we are in the what, outer loop, w underscore flight hyphen what, char id. Done. So where char id equal to so and so, end loop. Okay, so now I need to map the flight schedule fields. Okay, now I'll say move corresponding w underscore schedule to what, move corresponding w underscore schedule to, I need to add the data to this internal table field. Before that I need to add it to what, work area. What is the work area declared? ls underscore schedule. So move corresponding w underscore schedule equal to ls underscore what, schedule. Now I need to add it to what internal table. So I'll say sorry append ls underscore schedule to ls underscore expand hyphen, what is the field name, two flight schedules, two flight schedules done. Okay, so we have appended the data to that. Okay, now after appending, anyway we are in the loop, right? Okay, I'll clear this, clear ls underscore what schedule, done. Right, after this what I have to do, I need to append it. Once again, just thinking of the logic, clear ls underscore schedule, right, I'm appending to that, done. The end loop is done. Then I need to append this work area. What is the work area? ls underscore expand. Yes, done. So here I'll say append ls underscore expand to, what is that internal table, lt underscore expand. Append ls underscore expand to lt underscore expand. Then I need to clear the work area, clear ls underscore what expand, done. End loop and end if, okay, done. End case done, end case done. So done. Up to this probably it is correct. Let me save it, check for the syntax error. Ty underscore expand is unknown. Why? Achha, this I declared by using data keyword now. Okay, so I need to say like, I think so. Like table of, and this also is what? Like Ty underscore expand. Let me save it. Check it, no errors. Done. Activate this. If I would have declared this by using types keyword, then I should say type table of. Since I declared by using data keyword, I'm using like so and so. Done, done. Okay, so simple logic here. For this empty set, I'm getting the data into two different internal tables. Now, what is the logic? I need to map these two internal table data into my final internal table. This final internal table is holding the data of what? Both the entities. Okay, so that's what the logic, simple ABAP logic I wrote. I looped my primary internal table. I am calling this as primary internal table. Why primary? Each airline ID of this internal table might contain multiple flight schedules inside this particular internal table. So I'm looping that. First I'm copying that source entity data to that work area. Then I'm looping my what, uh, dependent internal table. Simple logic. I'm appending that. Then okay, one of the field is what, internal table. So directly I cannot add the data into. First I have to add it to what, work area. Okay, so I've added to the work area. Then I'm appending that entire thing to so and so. Done. So let me save it, check it. I'll just put the breakpoint here. Regenerate the runtime artifacts. Maintain it. Flight set. Yeah, dollar $expand equal to two flight schedules. Execute this. Done. It is going there. F5. Done, done, done. So I got the data into this. In LT underscore flight has got 22 entries, and LT underscore schedule has got how much? Once again, it got stuck. I think. Just hold up this. Yeah, LT underscore schedule has got what? 29 entries. So now what is the logic I have to write? I need to loop both these internal tables and move it to the final internal table. What is the final internal table I declared? LT underscore what? Expand. LT underscore expand is the internal table which is carrying the data of what? Both the entities. As of now it is empty. So you can see this LT underscore expand. See the fields here. MANDT, char ID, char name, currency code, URL. These five fields are part of what? Source entity, and you can see the next field, two flight schedules, which itself is the internal table. Okay, this is the internal table. Two flight schedules is the internal table. So for these fields, I can directly what? Append. But whereas for this one, I need to prepare a work area of the same type, and then I have to do the append. So that's what the logic I have done here. Okay. So I'm just looping it. Done, done, done. Okay, so you can see here it is adding the data. In the loop, it is adding the data. Right, so it is adding the data. Let me check the data as of now. Yeah, you can see AA, American Airlines. How many flight schedules are there? AA is there. How many flight schedules are there for that? If I click on this, yes, it has got two. Two flight schedules are there for what? American Airlines. Like that, I'm writing the logic. But okay, I didn't got the data. So now I need to return that particular data. Okay, my final internal table is having the data now, but I need to return it. So how do we return means? Yeah, how do we return means? There is an important method which we'll be using frequently for the rest of the classes. What is that method? It is not sure. Yeah, there is a method here. Copy data to ref. Copy data to ref is also what? It is the instance method of what? It is the instance public method of what? Same class. What is that class? Data provider extension class. So I need to call this particular method. I need to call this particular method in order to return the data. Okay, so one method of a class can call what? Other method. So I need to return this. So what is the signature of this? It contains two mandatory parameters. It contains two mandatory. One is importing, another is changing. Importing is what? Is underscore data type any cr underscore data type ref to what? Data it seems. Type ref to data. Type ref to data. Okay, done. So now let us go back to our method. So what is the method I have to call? Copy data to ref in order to return the data of your final internal table. So now here map the data to our final internal table. So this is done. Up to this is okay. Up to this is okay. Now I need to return the data. Okay, so that is done by calling one method. So I'm just calling the method copy underscore data underscore to underscore ref. Okay, I'll directly pass the parameters. What is this? Exporting. What is the parameter name we are seeing? Is underscore data, right? Is underscore data equal to what is the data? Where is the data available? In our case, lt underscore what? Expand. Done. And then we have another changing parameter. So changing remains changing. It is also mandatory. What is the parameter? Cr underscore data. It is of what type? It is of type ref to what? Data. It is of type ref to data. So what I can pass here? Can I pass this? Yeah, You can see there is an exporting parameter er underscore what entity set, er underscore entry set type ref to what data. So I can pass this. CR underscore data is also expecting what? Reference of what data itself. So here I can say ER underscore what entity set. That's it. So I'm just calling the method. So the main part is how to return the data by calling a method called as what? Copy data to ref. It is also one of the instance method of the same class, data put extension class. I am passing the data for mandatory parameters. This parameter is of type any. Any in the sense, whatever the data you want to return, that data we have to put it in our internal table. I am returning it. And then this is expecting a reference of what? Data. So in the method signature, we are having one export parameter which is also type ref to what? Data. So let me check whether this works or not. I think I need to set one more parameter. Let me check. Dollar $expand equal to two flight schedules. Execute this. It will take some time for the first. Oh, it's going to the debugging file. I'll say F8. Yes, I got some data. What is the data I got? Good. Did I got the data here? Just check. Oh, okay. I am getting the data of only what? If you analyze the data here, yeah, I am getting the data of only what? Flight. The first entity data. This is American airline. But this has got two entries, no? Two flight schedules. It is not showing that. Then direct it is going to the second one. Yeah. So I'm not getting any error, but I'm able to see only the data of what? This one. Yeah, I need to, I forgot one parameter. I need to set one parameter here. Let me go back to that. So what I have to do is there is one export parameter, I believe, that I need to set it. Okay. So let me go to that. Data provider extension class. If you go to the class, go to the method, get expanded entity set. There is one parameter. Yeah, exporting et underscore expanded underscore classes. Et underscore expand underscore tech underscore. It's also what? String table. It's an internal table. String internal table. Table of what? Strings. Okay. Yeah, I need to use this parameter. So what I'll do is somewhere here set the navigation property. So I'll declare one constants c underscore expand underscore what? tech underscore classes type string value. What is our this thing? I need to give it in uppercase. To flight schedules. I need to I need to set my navigation property. So I am providing that navigation property inside a constant what variable. Two flight schedules. I need to give it in uppercase. Done. But where do we specify that? That is important. So C underscore expand underscore. You can give any name. Class. Done. Then here there is one method which I need not method. It is expecting what parameter here? This only I think. What is this? Exporting et underscore expanded underscore tech underscore classes type string table. So this is the what parameter? Exporting parameter. So it is returning a internal table which is a collection of what strings. Okay. So classes is there. No? So let me give meaningful name here. Here also I'll give what classes. So I need to insert the data into that or append the data. So I'll say insert what is the constant I declared? C underscore expand underscore what tech and any name you can give. I gave it the same name classes into table. What is that export parameter? What is the export parameter? et underscore what expanded underscore tech underscore what classes et underscore expanded underscore tech underscore classes. So into table et underscore expanded underscore tech underscore classes. That. So I need to set the navigation property in that. Then only it will show me the data of what dependent entity. Let me check. Let me try. Understood. So simple understanding. There is one export parameter et underscore expand underscore tech underscore classes, which is a internal table of type what strings. Table of what strings. So that's the reason I declared one constant. I can declare data also, which is a what type string. Here I need to give my navigation property name. Navigation property name, and that entry I have to insert into that particular exported internal table. So I believe it will return the data now. Let me check. Go back. Regenerate the runtime artifacts. Two flight schedules. Execute this. Okay, did I got the data? Yes, good. Now you can see here. Yeah, you can see this is what data from what second entity. American Airlines. This is one flight schedule, San Francisco. Another American Airlines. What is that? New York. Done. Then this is my principal entity data. American Airlines has got two what flight schedules done. Then the next one is what Air Berlin. I don't think this contains the data. Yes, I'm not getting. Then AC Air Canada. Air Canada also doesn't have any data. Then Air France also doesn't have. Yeah, AZ is having the data. Okay, on entry, second entry, third entry, done. Then AZ. This is my data from what principal entity. They are the data from what dependent entity. Done. Then like this you can see, yeah, this is Delta Airlines. This is one entry. This is another entry flight schedule. This is another one. Done. And then we are getting that. Yes, done. That's it. Okay, so we're able to return the data of what both the entries. Now sometimes what the customer will ask, a customer may give, the consumer may give, the may want like this flight set. I want the data related to only what? This one. But I have not implemented the code for that. I have not implemented the code for that. So what I am doing here, I am passing one parameter. So when I execute, did I got any error? Yeah, you can see now it is calling which method? Get underscore expanded underscore entity set only. Done. It is calling that also. Done. F8. But did we got the data? Let me try. No, I didn't got the data because we are not in. Actually, 1 second please. I'm expecting go back to data product extension class. Yeah, this is one method. I gave the breakpoint here. This is another method, get underscore expanded entity. Did I give the breakpoint? No. Okay. So I'm giving the breakpoint here also. So I gave the breakpoints in what? Both the methods. So now see what I'll do. Let me execute this. Flight set $expand is equal to what? Two flight schedules. Execute this. Yeah. Which method is calling, that is important. Yeah, which method is calling? Get underscore expand under entity set. I'll say F8. Then I got the data. So in this case, it is calling which method? Get underscore expanded underscore what? Entity set. Now I'll say here flight set. Okay. Here what I'll do, I'll try to give the URL. Okay. So how to give that? In the parentheses, in the flight set parameter only, I have to give what? In the flight set entity set only, I have to give the value for what? One of the airline ID. Let me give AZ. Okay, I am giving that AZ, but I have not done the implementation for this second method. I just gave some write statement. Execute this. Yeah, get underscore. Yeah, you can see now. You can observe now where it is going. Get underscore expanded underscore what? Entity. It is going to that get underscore expanded entity. FH. Yeah, it is also going to what? Entity set also. It is also going to entity set also. Done. Done. Okay, but we are not going to get the data because we have not done the implementation. So what you can do is, or I'll discuss that in the next class, what I can do is I can write the code for that also, so that it will return the airline ID of the given what airline ID and the corresponding flight schedules. That logic we have to implement where? Inside a method called as what? Get underscore expanded underscore entity. Okay, so anyhow, try from your end. If you don't get, I'll do it, and you have to discuss the deep insertion. Today we got late, so here if you see the logic here, simple logic. Don't try to what remember the code here. Simple understanding is purpose of the method we should know. What is that? This method is responsible for returning multiple entries. Returning multiple entries from what? Multiple entities. Okay, I repeat, this method is used for returning multiple entries from multiple entities. That is the logic. So what I did, first I got the data into what? From what? Both source and target internal tables into two different internal tables. Now I need to return the two internal table data at the single internal table. So what I need to do, I need to declare one final internal table which is holding the fields of what? Which is holding the fields of what? Both the entries, both the entities. So for that, what I did, I referred to the model product extension class. I refer to the declarations and I declare the internal table. Then we are looping this particular source and target internal table. We have mapped the data into what? Our final internal table. This is simple ABAP logic. Okay. Then after that, what you have to do, once the data is available in the final internal table, we need to return that particular final internal table data. So far, in the crude operations, what you are doing, in order to return the data, we are mapping the data into what? ET underscore entity set or ER underscore entity set. So in this case, in this method, or from now onwards, for the rest of the scenarios, we will be using this method called what? Copy underscore data underscore to underscore ref. Okay, we need to just pass our final internal table. If I leave it like this only, if I leave it like this, what happens? It will show me the only the data of what? Principal entity. It will show me the data of only what? Principal entity. But if you want the data of what? Dependent entity also, what I have to do is, for one of the export parameter, I need to set our navigation property name. Set the navigation property name. So I just inserted the data into the internal. Why I used insert here? Because this is what? It is the internal table. So I can use either append or what? Insert statement. Exporting parameter, which is expecting a string. That's the reason I declared one variable of type string. Why I declared a constant is because it's a fixed value. That's the reason I went for a constant. That's it. Then we have tested. Same logic you have to do it for what? The other method also, but here and there I need to make what? Some small changes. That's it. So any questions from your end, please ask me. So this the simple ABAP coding only requires practice. Okay. So next class, what we'll do is we'll discuss that get underscore expand underscore entity plus just I need to copy this code and paste and do the changes there, and then we need to discuss another concept called as what? Deep insertion. Deep insertion, where we should able to insert the data into multiple entities at a time in a single call. Just like here we are reading, there we have to insert. So I should know what is the corresponding method we have to implement for that. So somewhere there's a method available, create underscore deep underscore entity something is there, forgot the name. Yeah, create underscore deep underscore entity, this is the method we have to implement for what? Deep insertion. Execute a deep insert, create request, done. So we'll discuss that in the next class, that is on Monday. Okay, any questions? Done. So we'll meet again on what? Monday. Chalo.